What's up, y'all? This is Dylan here with another episode of the Space City segment. Today I have the honor and privilege of having Linell Bouyer III, former UH wide receiver, here with me today. So first and foremost, just want to thank you for being here, taking your time to tell us your story. You have a very remarkable story, very remarkable journey. So just thank you for being willing to share it.
So thank y'all for having me.
Sir, so I want to get straight into it. Tell us about your journey to get here to UH.
Oh, it's funny. Well, I went to high school in Decaney, that's in Spring, in North Houston. I didn't have any offers coming out of high school, so I used to send my film to coaches around every day. Just go to the email list and just send film to them. Hopefully, somebody would give me a chance. That fell through, didn't get a shot. Coach Christian, who is no longer here anymore, at the school, he's still alive. He's just not at school no more. He gave me a shot to walk on. And when I walked on, they gave me number 48. Man, and that was a slap to my face as a receiver, wearing number 48. But I made it my mission to earn a scholarship, change my number, and be a value to the team. So that same semester, I remember I earned a scholarship, and they called my high school coach and told him, hey, Linell earned the scholarship. I'm supposed to be happy in this moment. Like, most people be like, man, all hard work paid off. However, I was laying in my parents' bed, blew my knee out.
You're still in high school?
This is in college, freshman year.
College, okay.
Tore 11 ligaments as a freshman when I was just about to get my scholarship. And I had to grind my way back and work my way back, and I earned another scholarship when Herman got here, and the rest is history. But my time here was, it was telling for what I do now. I'll say that. It was meant to happen the way it happened, because who I am today is because of it.
So I want to talk about when you earned the scholarship from Herman. What was your initial reaction to hearing the news? What was your mentality going forward when you heard it?
Shoot, about time. I felt like out of high school I needed a scholarship, so I had to wait 2 years while everybody else was parading. But it was a relief. Most people have goals that they want to obtain, and they get sidetracked or distracted on their route to that goal. And I just felt like me accomplishing that one goal that I had for myself was telling for my dedication for pushing through adversity. Because a lot of people who get injured, they write themselves off. Forget other people writing them off, they write themselves off. Because that really is what happened. Like, no one can write you off. Right. But if you agree to what they say, then you are writing yourself off. So most people do that. But me pushing through it, and achieving that goal, man, it was remarkable, man. My parents were paying for school, so a lot of people go back and buy their parents the house or the car when they become a professional. But me just telling my dad, like, hey, you don't have to pay for school no more. Like, I was the only kid that didn't get a scholarship, so it kind of, I'm the baby too. So I was like, you ain't got to pay no more, man. And he retired the next year, so it helped a lot, man. It was I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the journey, and I loved the experience.
Right. So, obviously just this first couple minutes, the viewers can tell, and I know too, that you're a very, dedicated, competitive person. So I kind of want you to shed light on what other players, what did the culture look like when you played here? What culture did Tom Herman specifically bring to UH?
It's funny because one of my keynote speech topics is about checking the temperature. And what that means is checking the temperature of the room. My coach used to always say, Coach Herman, don't be a thermometer, be a thermostat. So set the tone, don't follow, right? And what he did when he got to University of Houston, the first week he got here, we had some stuff from the prior staff starting to roll over into the culture that Coach Herman was trying to build. So 2 weeks into him being here, I believe it was 2 weeks, we went through something called Hell Week. In Hell Week, he took our jerseys. We couldn't wear University of Houston gear. We couldn't use locker rooms. We couldn't eat. We had to eat runny eggs and stuff. And we was out on the field at like 4:25 in the morning just doing mindless stuff, like just mindless stuff. And when he did that, I believe 26 to 30 people quit.
Scholarship players too?
All of them just quit. Okay. And that what he did was he checked the thermostat. Like he checked the thermometer. He was like, okay, let's see who's really willing to push through, because what we about to roll out is not easy. And all the people quit. And he was like, hey, I'm gonna roll with whoever I got. And that was the identity that the team picked up on for the rest of his tenure here. So we were hard-nosed, man. I think the spring practice before, we only had 300 live plays. That spring he got there, we had like 1,500 live plays. It was tackled to the ground. So we were tough. So that was the culture that we embodied, which is toughness and grit and grind, and it translated to the field. So when people see us winning against Florida State, against Louisville, and grind out games against Memphis, they like, dang, this team is good. It's like, no, we had hard, like we grinded, we blood, sweat, tears. I know you always hear the cliche statement, but I watched it. Right. You know what I mean? We really built a brotherhood, and you really play for the person next to you. And we still talk amongst each other right now about it, man. So it's something that, you know, turned into a lifetime after the sport because of the culture that we had.
Can you talk a little bit more about that 2015 season? You know, obviously y'all finished that season 13-1. Y'all beat Florida State, won the AAC. You know, talk about that season.
That was probably my funnest. Is that even a word? My most fun year of football ever. Prior to that, it was 10th grade year because we were just dogging people out, and you know I was the premier, you know, receiver on the team at that time. Should have been on varsity, but you know that's a story for another day. But that year, I really felt most if you play sports, you know when you line up against another team, one team is gonna feel like we got them, and it's not because of just who they have on the team, but it's because of the preparation and what they already went through. And I felt like that every game that season, like, oh man, good luck to them. Because I know we got, like our backups would have been starters at any team in the conference. So we were just that good. And the team that we lost to was a 0, I think they were 0-10.
What team was that again?
It was UConn.
Oh, yeah.
And we just slept walking to the game and we lost the game. But contrary to what people believe, that is the most important loss that we faced, or most important game that we faced, because we did start to smell ourselves a little bit. We were 10-0. You know, when we walked, UConn, I'm not finna. And then we get beat by UConn, but right behind UConn was Navy, Temple, Florida State. So think about, we just got all big-headed, and then we walked through UConn. When we faced Navy in the game that would have sent either one of us to the conference championship game, we probably would have lost because it was a nail-biter for the most part. And then we started whooping them because we was pissed. We just lost to UConn. And the same thing for Temple. The same thing for Florida State. Yeah, but that team was, I always say this, I rank it, and I might be a little biased. You know, I might joke around and say it was the best team in U of H history. But I know a lot of people going to push back, but I would say we are top 3 of the best team in University of Houston history. I might be biased, but if you look at the stats and look at who we played, I think we beat like 4 to 5 top 25 teams. If I'm not mistaken, I might be lying. I have to refresh myself. That was 10 years ago. But I think 2015 University of Houston Cougars really set the tone for what we are still trying. I'm not going to say still because we will, but what we are, we set the benchmark in the 2010 and plus era. Case Keenum team did too, but 2015, those teams in conjunction set the tone for what we expect out of University of Houston. So the expectation is there, you know, and I believe that the coach that we have now would get us to that point. But the expectation is there. It's been set.
So you talked about the 2015 team being the best team, but the 2016 team was also good too.
I was on there too.
Yeah, I know. I know. So, you know, going, you know, before we talk about the actual season, going into the season, you know, y'all had Ed Oliver coming in, you know, a spring native as well.
Yeah.
Greg Ward was a Heisman hopeful.
Yeah.
You know, you were primed for a bigger role, right?
Yeah.
You know, so what was y'all's expectations, or were the expectations different from the year before? You know, and was there any pressure going into that season?
It was a lot of pressure because we just went 13-1 and we ended with beating Florida State and winning the conference championship. So it was a lot of pressure. We had a target on our back from day one. And not to say the first game of the season, we beat Oklahoma by, I think, 18 points. So it's like, oh, shoot, like this team is still good. So, yes, it had a lot of pressure. I believe that, like I said, our depth from 2015, most of the guys on the team that had meaningful roles were seniors. So the backups, we all took the starting position, which was no drop-off. But behind us was mostly freshmen and sophomores, so they didn't really have the same experience. And I believe that in a lot of games, like I said, we got every team's best shot. It was really just self-inflicted wounds. Like when we lost to Navy, we turned the ball over in their territory 3 times, and we lost by, I think, 3 points or something like that. When we lost to SMU, we just slept walk and they beat us. When we lost to Memphis, we had the game, lost it in the fourth quarter. So like we had a really, really good team. Like we could have competed with the 2015 team. But I don't think that I think that we lost, I don't want to say lost track of focus. It's hard to repeat anything. I'll say that. It's hard to repeat anything. It's not easy because if you're the best fighter, Javante Tank Davis, he's shown that he's one of the best. Everybody's coming at you, getting everybody's A game. University, the basketball team, you see it now. Like you'll see a team, Iowa State play Kansas and blow out Kansas, and then you come play Kansas and think like, okay, it's gonna be slapped, and then it's a 1-point game the whole game. You're gonna get everybody's championship game because they want to prove that they are worthy playing against you. So I think that we got a lot of that season because 2014 season we weren't a joke, but we didn't win that many games. Right. So 2015 was like, oh no, we're that team in the conference. Okay, let's take out University of Houston, and I just think we didn't step up to the challenge like we should have. That's not a knock on any of the coaches or any of the players. We just didn't step up to the challenge like we should have. But the team we were good. We had the talent. We had the talent to take it there.
For sure. I mean, y'all beat the number 3 team in OU,
and we beat
Baker Mayfield and Louisville.
Louisville too. So we had it.
Yeah.
We had it.
Yeah. I want you, if you don't mind, can you talk more about that OU game? That was in NRG.
Yeah.
70,000 fans.
Yeah.
Like I said, y'all playing against Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Mark Andrews was on that team, I believe.
Yeah.
What was that game? I know you had some highlight reels in that game as well.
I did.
What was your experience like in that game?
Man, that was the closest to for a college athlete to feel like a professional. You're in an NFL stadium, packed out. Right. Like it was sold out. Not a seat available. I think it was standing room only. And you're playing against NFL prospect and a quarterback. And a lot of NFL prospects because they, produce a lot of, NFL players. And, just to be able to compare the dog. It's like, all right, y'all think y'all dogs. Let's see if y'all are willing to go there with us. And to pull it out and to see like, hey, no, we're really that good. Show the nation because, they thinking the other season was a fluke. It's like, no, we're actually that good. It was amazing, man. But the crowd, I think the dome was closed. If I'm not mistaken, the dome was closed, so it was loud. Like it was vibrating off and just shooting back to us. The sound was, and it was loud. So anytime you made a big play, you knew you made a big play, man. So it was definitely a joy. Especially the biggest play of the game was when Brandon Wilson returned the field goal attempt. Man, that stadium was so loud, man. Oh my goodness, it was so loud. It was loud. Yeah. But yeah, that was a great memory. I think I still have the picture. My cousin got a picture of me catching the ball on the sideline. It's like grayed out, but I'm red. And I'm like, laying on the ground catching it. So like that's just a memory that I can pass down to my kids or to whoever, just so they can kind of get some of the experience and maybe go Google it, just Google it, YouTube.
I like there. I think, another game that I also want to talk about.
I know what you're going to say.
That Louisville game, right?
Oh, yeah.
So this is, first game, OU was in NRG. This game was here at UH, right?
Home.
Sold out crowd, stadium rocking.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson, another Heisman winner.
Yeah.
What was that game like? What was that environment like specifically?
He won it that year, right?
Yeah.
He won it that year. Man, I was a junior, so I came back. I'm not gonna lie, they hyped Louisville up, and I understand the media's tactics after that game, particularly because if you watch, they can build something up to make it a mountain, but it's still just a team, and they built Louisville up over that whole course of the year. I think they were undefeated at the time, right?
Something like that, yeah.
They might have lost one, but they were number 3. They're number 3 in the nation. So yeah, they were definitely a good team. But that was our senior night, so I don't think people remember. That was the last home game of the season. That was senior night. Our seniors lose that game, they have a bad taste in their mouth every time they come back to the field. So it was a lot on the line. So that dog that we had, it came out. It had to show. But man, if I had to give the MVP to anybody on the team or any position, it's the D-line and the linebackers. Because boy, Lamar Jackson was bottled up. And no one prior to that have seen him be bottled up that way. But you watch Ed, you watch Stephen Taylor, Cam Malvo, Nick, I can name them all, but they bottled him up. Like he had nowhere to go. He was flustered. And I don't think we've seen him that way before.
Yeah.
And then on offense, I mean, we did what we was gonna do. We had then we had some dogs on offense. So, but that was a game. I think we put a game together. Special teams to offense to defense. It was just a complete game, and the score reflected what we put on the field.
I'm about to say that game too. You also got to play.
I threw a
QB1.
touchdown, man.
Yeah.
So I've been throwing the ball. I never played QB.
Okay.
As a official quarterback. But people don't know I was a third string quarterback here at University of Houston. Because I can throw the rock now. I'm accurate. If Greg went down, we in good hands, like Allstate. It wouldn't have been no problem. They just throw Bonner in there. I'll be good.
Man, I was gonna say, you mentioned Greg Ward, you mentioned Ed Oliver. Obviously, those were the stars of the team.
And Tyus, I forgot Tyus was part of that defense
as well,
too.
Right? I mean, we can go on and on.
Yeah,
right. Even you can say yourself as well. But I really want to highlight Greg and then Ed. First of all, what was it like being teammates with them, and what made them so special?
Man, I'm talking about Ed first, man. He came in, and he went to my rival school in high school. He went to Westfield. I went to Decaney. So hearing about him, I did what most reporters did. I looked at this, I was like, oh, that's not finna translate to college, because I'm seeing these other linemen like, you big, but I'm like, he wasn't small, but I'm like, that's not gonna translate. What he did in high school, I gotta see it. And boy, I watched Inside Drill, and I watched what he did to our O-line, and I was a believer instantly. I remember a couple practices, they had to pull him from inside because we couldn't get the ball out, like, to the running back. Like, we couldn't hand the ball off, so he was messing up the drill. And there was a play where he caught me on the sideline. He did it in Oklahoma to D.D. Westbrook as well. The dude was fast. Like, he was just an all-around freak athlete, bro. And I was running on the sideline. I did a step back on the safety. I thought it was the linebacker, but it was a safety. And I looked back, and I just see a big old number 10 just going across, and I just stepped out of bounds. Like, hold on. And I saw a 10 run across my face. I'm like, that's it? Mm-hmm. And that's when I was like, all right. Like, he's legit. That was his freshman year. But yeah, he is everything that they built him up to be, and probably more. Right. But Ed was definitely, an A1 athlete. And Greg, on the same token, on the other side of the ball, just take the zero out the number, and it's the same person. He was a baller. Like, if I had to just give him a word, just a baller. Like, when the ball's in Greg's hand, you had confidence. Right. You had faith, like, hey, something's gonna happen, right? Because I know if he can't throw the ball, he gonna make something shake with his legs. And then when he makes something shake with his leg, he's still looking. Mm-hmm. So, like, me and Greg and the other receivers, we had a connection because, like, after practice, we would just stay and catch the ball and, work on stuff. Like, even before the games, if you see, like, our pregame workout, we would just work on, like, scramble plays and moving and, seeing where he wants to throw it, see where he wants me to be. Hey, I want you to be a little bit higher if you see him right here. So we knew what he wanted. And a lot of broken plays would turn out to be great plays because of it. But I wish he would have had the opportunity to stay at quarterback. 'Cause I think people slept on his arm. Right. Like, I think people really slept on his arm. He could throw the ball, and he threw a ball that was catchable. And it's a difference from just throwing a ball and throwing a catchable ball. Like, if it's a slant and it's raining, you just want to throw hard to show everybody you can throw hard, that's just throwing the ball. But you got to know how to put the touch on it to where the receiver can catch it, because at the end of the day, you want to make a play. And he knew how to throw a catchable ball. But I think they slept on his arm, and they tried to write him off because of his height and everything. But I think if he would have got a shot, he could have did something at quarterback in the NFL. Okay. But they both were, elite athletes.
So I want to put the spotlight back on you.
Mm-hmm.
That 2016 season for you was special. If I'm not mistaken, you were 5th in the nation in receptions.
Mm-hmm.
You also eclipsed 1,000 yards that season. Obviously, you talked a lot about your mentality and your work ethic, but what did that season do for you, for your career? Just anything, however you want to,
That season, if I had to say, that season was for me, but it really just shut the critics up. I wouldn't even say critics, because I wasn't, before then I was a walk-on, so I didn't really have that many critics. I ain't even gonna act like I just had critics like that, but it shut the naysayers up. Right. The people who didn't think that I was a collegiate receiver or could do what I did in high school and college. I think that season was just all the work that I've done manifest itself. Everything that I did, staying after practice catching the ball, going in before practice catching the ball, during downtimes catching the ball, running routes, working on the drills, and you see us, me, Steve, Chance catching the ball so effortlessly is because we put the time in. And I just think that season was just translated what I did off the field to where you could see it in real time. And it was more of a, like I go back to high school and I laugh all the time with the coaches. I'm like, I could have did the same thing. If y'all had threw the ball, we had one of the top rushers in the nation, Trey Williams, so we didn't throw the ball. But and DeMarcus Felton. But if y'all threw the ball, I would have did the same thing. That season really just showed them like, hey, what I knew I can do and what some knew that I can do, I did it. And now you're a believer. Now you see, okay, he could ball at the next level. So that season was just more of a stamp, a stamp to myself, like, hey, I conquered it. Because, when I came as a walk-on, it's funny I say that. I never wanted to play. And that sounds crazy. That wasn't my goal.
I was going to say, break that down.
That was not my goal. My goal was not to be a starter. My goal was not to go to the NFL. My goal was to get a scholarship. I wanted my education. I knew what I wanted to do after. I wanted to be a businessman. And I knew that getting a scholarship, most teenagers want to move out their parents' house. I get to move out my parents' house. I get to go to school. Everything's paid for. I get an education. And that was my goal. To get that goal, I had to put the work in. Me putting the work in got me noticed. And then I got an opportunity. And then I took advantage of the opportunity. So that was off the backs of me just trying to get one goal, which was a scholarship, which you mentioned earlier. Right. That was my only goal. Then the NFL talking, all that came in after, but that wasn't my goal. So that year was just a testament of the hard work that I put in. Yeah.
I was gonna say, was there ever, when you started getting noticed, national spotlight, did you still have that same mentality of, okay, I'm just gonna get my education, do what I do, keep putting in the work, or did you start looking at some of the NFL eyes and stuff like that? What was your balance with that?
That's when the notoriety started coming in and the chatter started coming in, I did tune into it. I didn't have the wherewithal that I do now to hyper focus on my goals and not to deviate. But I mean, the NFL wouldn't have been a bad deviation because you get a big blessing up front, which would have helped me in the business ventures. And that's how I was looking at it. I was looking at it from a business standpoint. I was like, you know what? I don't want to play too long in the NFL because I like my body. And I had 4 surgeries before I got 3 before I got out of college, 1 in the CFL. So I'm like, that's already setting me back about 10 years. I want to, keep my body healthy. So if I make it to the NFL, I'm going to play 2 to 4 years. Obviously it's not up to me anyway, but this is how my mind was. 2 to 4 years, collect X amount of dollars, and I'm cheap. Actually, I'll take that back. I'm financially cautious. See, people say cheap, and that's a bad. Financially cautious mean I'm cautious about where I spend my money. So I wasn't going to be buying all this stuff. I would have had a big nest egg, and it would have been able to easily be pushed into investments and stuff that I wanted to do. That's what my goal was once I had the NFL talk. It's like, all right, well, shoot, I can go and then make this money and then start businesses. But yeah, I was just talking to one of my mentees about this the other day, having goals and, going towards your goals and not getting sidetracked. Because that wasn't a dream of mine. Like I told you earlier, my dream was to get a scholarship. That wasn't a dream of mine. I adopted that dream from the outside people, which a lot of people do in this world. We adopt dreams from either our family, our friends, media, or what we think is cool. And it's not even our dream. Right. And then we go after something, and then we achieve it, and we're unfulfilled. So had I achieved the NFL, I wouldn't have had no fulfillment because that never was a goal of mine. What I'm doing right now as we speak is a goal of mine, is a dream of mine. I have fulfillment in these moments. I have fulfillment when I talk to my mentees. And that's what I want to do. But me going to the NFL has just been a detour. So I say all that to say is that we have to make sure that our goals align to our actions. Our actions align to our goals. And our dreams is we take the time to process why that dream is a dream. Because the worst thing, I heard this scenario, I've heard this analogy before. The worst thing to do is climb up the ladder just to get to the top and realize you climbed the wrong ladder. You put all that hard work in to get up to the ladder, get to the top. I'm grinding. It might be raining. It might be hailing, whatever. You get it to the top and you're like, dang, nice view. And you look back, I'm on the wrong building. What you gonna do then? You can't jump down. You don't want to go back down. So now you have to sustain something with unfulfillment. Whereas if you took the time to process your dreams and see where you really want to go, then when you get to the top, you can have fulfillment every day of your life after.
So you're already talking about, sort of just lessons you already learned. I guess what I asked you, what is the biggest lesson that you learned from your time at UH and your career at UH?
My biggest lesson that I learned at U of H. Man, you put me on the spot with that one.
Lessons, whatever.
Oh, you put me on the spot with that one. The biggest lesson that I learned. One of the lessons, I would say one of the lessons is you have to have faith in yourself. I mention this multiple times when I'm on stage or when I'm speaking to anybody. When I tore my ACL, I was written off. It was moments I would walk by a coach in the hallway. What's up, coach? I'm an athlete. You're supposed to say what's up back. Walk right by me. I'm 18, 19 years old. Like, that does a lot to my mental, because at the end of the day, you want to be accepted. Like, we might want to be big dogs and say, you want to be accepted. That's why we do certain things in a group, because you want to be an integral part of the group. You want to be accepted. So I knew that I knew that the coaches had to be on my side for me to get scholarships. So now that the coach is not on my side for me to get a scholarship, and they just walking by me, it's like, dang. So in that moment, I was dealing with depression and everything, but anchored self-belief within myself, anchored self-belief within my abilities from doing the work and putting the time in is the same thing that I do now. Me being a speaker and building programs and doing workshops and being a mentor, that wasn't a set goal of mine when I was younger. It was kind of thrown on me. But now I understand why I was called to do it. But it's the same thing now. So it's a different field in how I have to have self-belief, but it's easy for you to have those inadequate thoughts. It's easy for you to have imposter syndrome. It's easy for you to believe, why me? How? Why not this guy? I'm not even qualified. I've only been speaking for a couple years. Why am I better than that guy? Why should I have this opportunity exposed to him? And, that's not coming from not talking down on myself, but you also, you can be overconfident to where it becomes entitlement. And I don't want to have that mindset either. So it's like a happy medium, but it's more so I've put the work in. So I do stuff with my wife every day where I have to give her a speech. I put myself in positions where I have to get out of my comfort zone with a presentation or with mentorship or whatever it might be. So when that opportunity does come, I'm prepared. Because when preparation meets opportunities, you get more. But when you're not prepared and that opportunity comes, you might not get another one. Because opportunities lead to opportunities. So the biggest thing I learned is self-belief. Well, one of the biggest things I learned was self-belief, because if you don't believe in yourself, why should I? Like, imagine if you came to me and I'm like, hey man, you want to be the best interviewer or podcast, whatever. And you was like, man, I don't know what I think, but I don't. Why would I, if I had a show, if I knew somebody who could help you, why would I even make that introduction? Right. If you don't believe in yourself. And it's not like I said, it's not an entitlement confidence belief where you just like oozing with overconfidence, like, no, I'm the best. And you haven't put no work in. I'm talking about you have confidence like, hey, this is what I'm going after. I'm willing to suck on this route to get to where I'm going. But I know that at the end of the day, at the end of this journey, I will be where I want to be. So that's type of self-belief. Because if you have that, you're more or less unstoppable. Like you pretty much, if you stay determined and you stay goal-oriented and you have that self-belief, you'll be surprised where you can go. But if you lack that, hey man, a lot of people everybody on this earth, for the most part, have a goal. Not many reach them.
This is very timely advice for me. Very timely advice for me. Speaking of giving advice, I want you to talk about, what you're doing right now. Talk about the brand you just started, the program you just started more specifically. how did you get into that journey first of all, and what is your mission with that?
So I'll talk about what I do now, and then I'll talk about the brand. Actually, I'm gonna flip it. I'm gonna talk about the brand first. So the brand is Once an Athlete. I actually just got approved for my trademark last week. So this is news to y'all, as well as news to me. Somewhat kind of old now, but I started the brand because I got tired. I'm just be honest with you. I got tired of people asking me, "You play sports?" I'm like, "You don't see me?
Yeah.
Like, come on now. I'm still in shape now. I can still go do it." You know what I'm saying? So then they'll ask me what sport, and I just joke like I was a professional swimmer. I always say I was the Michael Phelps, the black Michael Phelps.
Yeah.
But I always joke with them because, like, obviously, how I'm built. It's only really one sport that you tied me to, and that was football. But then I was like, what if a lot of people get asked those questions, or a lot of people don't get asked those questions, and it's a conversation starter because every time I wear this shirt, or every time I wear this hat, or any other memorabilia, I get asked, what sport you play? And that small question leads to opportunities, infinite. I can take that conversation where I want. So it's a conversational piece because it's not once an athlete, like you're done. It's like, no, it's once an athlete. The cliche, always an athlete, but what do you turn it into? Once an athlete, turn mentor. Once an athlete, turn doctor. Once an athlete, turn lawyer. Once an athlete, turn accountant. Because you're taking the same lessons you learned from sports and you're applying it to your day-to-day life now. Now, on the opposite side of it, because it's two sides to once an athlete. The other side is more of a wake-up call to athletes. And this kind of goes in conjunction with my program. It's about identity. The simple, small saying, I'm a football player and I play football. Do you know the difference in that saying?
One is saying that's your past, I'm doing something different. But one is saying that this is me, like this all I am.
So I'm a football player. You're defining your identity. That's who you are. I play football, something that I do. So it's not who I am, it's what I do. Yeah. That small difference plays a big role in your mental. Because now if you attach yourself to the sport, and let's say, God forbid, you have a bad injury and you can't play no more, who are you then? It's hard to find somebody you never knew who you were. So now you're trying to figure out who am I. That's when depression starts. Because I went through this. That's when depression starts. When you start reverting to other things. And a lot of people don't have the tools to look inside. A lot of people don't have the people around them that helps them pull their true self out. So what happens if you don't have that? You're setting yourself up for failure. But if you have because when people hear, they be like, no, be that. Be the play football. But understand that you still have a life after the sport. You still have an identity. You just play the sport. I'm not gonna say it's a hobby. It's a passion, but that's not who you are. So that's another side of once an athlete. Just to ring that bell, because I see a lot of individuals who were at the top of the game, but right now, 10 years later, they're not at the top of the game. But then I see the ones that are at the top of the game. We have these conversations, and they know how to separate the two. And it's a distinct difference in separating the two, because you can chase ghosts. Because if you consider yourself the sport don't care about you. You in football practice, if you on the 10-yard line and we going out and you fall down and break your ankle, y'all know what they're gonna do?
Next.
Move the ball up 15 yards, next person in, let's go. That's how fast it is. You just broke your ankle and they just move the ball up. They're gonna tend to you, but the practice is gonna keep going. That's how fast the sport will move on. But how fast do we move on from the sport? You see what I'm saying? And then, so my program that I do now is about identity, about knowing who you were, about knowing who you are, and about knowing who you want to become. Those three things, in conjunction with each other, can ensure success. Because if you don't know who you were, you haven't got the tools you need to move forward. If you don't know who you are, you don't even know where to start. If you don't know who you want to become, you don't even know where you're going. So I break that down in a therapeutic form where I ask questions for you can get an insight and get a view of who you are, so you can answer those three questions confidently, ensuring success.
Definitely. So I know, you have other stuff to attend to, so I'll just leave you off with this last question. What is one piece of advice, which you already kind of tested to, but what is one piece of advice you would tell a kid who might be going through the same situation that you're going through or you went through? Being under recruited, going through injuries. What would you tell them?
That's going through the same thing I'm going through.
Yes, sir.
It's useful. You're not doing it for nothing. You're not doing it for no reason. I know that my journey has led me to a position where I've seen the lights. I've seen the other side that people are trying to get to. And I know teammates who was on the same journey that didn't get that same success. But those same teammates are multimillionaires now. Those same teammates are doing well in their fields because everything that they did, all that work that they put in, that became a characteristic of theirs, a trait, they're applying that now. So what I would say to them is, you're not doing it for no reason. I can't tell you or guarantee that you're going to achieve the goal of what you're trying to shoot for, but I can guarantee if you learn these lessons, if you take the tools from this season, it will pay dividends in the future. You will have something to draw from because you're making deposits daily. But if you have the wrong mindset and you have an entitlement mindset, if you have a victim mindset, if it's never your fault and it's always somebody else's fault and you always blame, I didn't get the scholarship because this guy, you're going nowhere fast. So accountability is big in knowing that it's all going to pay off soon. It's just a matter of when, not if. Just like when you're at Olive Garden. At Olive Garden, when you get the salad, first thing they do, tell me when. And they just going to go. And you say when. It's a matter of when, not if. It's going to happen. It's a matter of when it happens. But that timeline for the win is really dependent upon you and how you're going about it.
Choices.
Your choices.
Powerful.
Choices.
Powerful. Once again, Linell Bouyer III, we appreciate you for joining us today. This is Dylan with the Space City segment. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. We out. Go Cougs.